Hello again, or hello for the first time. We have a packed house tonight because 4 of my family members came, so we equal 5. Tonight will be good. The thing is, the same old, same old. It's nothing really. Without that, it doesn't matter. It's to recognize. Today we were talking about it, to at least the immunity to what's not happening, and the sense of being a you, a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, is not happening. It's just an appearance. There is selfing that's happening, which is a mental process, but that selfing makes up an illusion that there is one who's having the mental process. So the mental process, the product that it makes up, has a sense that it's having the mental process. So part of the mental process I would call the noun of self. And that process makes up, there's a shift in that. Part of the process seemingly rises above the process and then claims the process. So I'm the one who's thinking. But actually the I is a product of thought. Yeah? The I is a product of thought, but the I says I'm the one that's thinking. So part of the process rises and it seems to transcend the process and claim it. But obviously a product of a process can never transcend it. It would only be seemingly real in the process. Yeah. So self can never get out of self because there is no self. So a product of the mental process can't get out of the mental process. So there's no transcending the condition you're in here because there's no you that's in it. So yeah, the transcending the condition of this place is realize you're not in it. That's the transcending. So what people, I think, mean when they say I'm out of self is that is really a clear recognition I've never been in self. Yeah? That's the only one that holds water to me because it has no time involved in it, and it has no process involved in it, and it has no option involved in it. See, if you were never in something, you can't entertain being in or out of it. Yeah? If you were never in something, you can't entertain. The mind can't go into its little tennis court of in and out, yes and no, close and far, connected, disconnected. That game of believing, actually the game is of your relevance as a self, because then it's up to you if you're in or up to you if you're out. So let's say there's a recognition that I'm in something, but you don't realize you are that something you think you're in. Yeah? The mental process is creating that sense of being the you that's in that process. That's the mental process. There is no you that's outside of that, having that mental process. That's the mental process. It's projecting a sense of being an individual, long-lasting, separate entity. And we call it whoever, Paul or Jim or whatever. From there, it goes about claiming everything else. So the conscious contact, that is just a basic event of every and each day that we're in, which is you're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting. It's not you, but they're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, and then thinking concerning what? Conscious contact. Yeah. So you're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. That's the conscious contact. Consciousness is in contact with this event called life. How? Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. The mental process is in contact with it as thought. And it's not really contact. It's an interpretation of conscious contact. It's not conscious contact. When your consciousness is in contact with thoughts, that's a conscious contact, but your involvement in the content, and the content is not from the thought, it's from you. It's from the you, because the you, we spoke about it this morning, the sense of being Paul, that sense of Paul, so there's conscious contact, and then there's this idea that arises, I'm in conscious contact. That I represents a lot of files, almost as if it was a computer program. It's a tag, and as soon as Paul identifies itself as the one who's in conscious contact, then everything it's in conscious contact with gets injected with meaning from your old ideas, from your conditioning, from the memory. It's not your conditioning, but the memory and the conditioning of this apparatus infuses the thought with a meaning and infuses the conscious contact with a meaning. The primary one is I'm the one that's in conscious contact, and then it riffs on that. So you're not even reacting to conscious contact, you're reacting to the interpretation of conscious contact. Yeah. And you believe a thought is driving you crazy, but it's the meaning you've given that thought that's driving you crazy. And really the biggest meaning you give in that thought is the claiming of it as I'm the one who thought it, or it's about me. That's the bonding agent. The bondage to self is not something that happened 30 years ago and you walked into a little stable and they branded you. You're bonded to self. You're owned by, the self ranch, and you're one of the self herd animals, and you can never erase that bond. It's an activity. Selfing. In here, in the world of appearance, of duality, there can, in a way, it expresses itself as you're dying as a self or to the self every moment. Yeah. You're neither of them, but the appearance is I'm dying as a self, which is I'm listening to all the thoughts as if I'm the thinker of them, or they're about me, and all conscious contact is being neutered by me thinking I'm the one that's in conscious contact. That's dying as a self. At the same moment, the possibility is you can be in the expression of dying to a self, which is you're not believing the thoughts. Yeah, you hear them, but you're not listening to them as the thinker of them, or as they're about you. You have an immunity, a strong immunity to what's not happening because you're rooted in what's happening. And I'll tell you, the only solution to what's not happening is to realize it's not happening. Once you realize it's not happening, there's no need to get any other solution to it other than its non-existence. It's that freaking simple. It's so obvious when it hits you that there's the whole engine of being a doer and haver gets disarmed or shut. Like, doesn't idle, it just gets turned off. Because when you realize it's not happening, that's it. Because it's not happening. What do you need to do to what's not happening to stop it from happening other than to realize it's not happening? I mean, it's that quick, yeah? So this sense of conscious contact has been hijacked by the mental process. The mental process to deal with the overwhelming evidence of its unreality is by claiming what is real, which is conscious contact. Yeah? So now you become unconscious to that conscious contact. You become unconscious to what's happening, so you can very easily get absorbed into what's not happening, which is only a part of what's happening. It's happening in what's not happening, but it will override it's happening in what's happening, but your obsession with that will override your consciousness of what's happening. So you'll take what's not happening to truly be happening. Yeah. And so if you're responding or reacting constantly to the projections of a mental process, I would say you're enslaved to that mental process. You've forgotten your nature, which is not of a mental quality. If you want to call it a spiritual quality, it's not of a mental quality. And you take upon yourself to be, you actually apply, let's say, physical qualities to your real nature. You think you're vulnerable and cannot be loved and be lost and lonely and all of these things when you're actually the source of love and peace. You tend to take the exact opposite look. You apply the qualities of a body. I can be hurt because a body can be hurt, and you apply that to your real nature. So you actually put on body qualities to spiritual nature. And so you think that you can be scorned and that you can be hurt and that love can leave you because it's not where you are. It has to come from without. And that you have to constantly be looking for a savior to save you. But in fact, why all saviors fail is because you don't need to be saved, literally. They have to fail you. Yeah? Because you don't need to be saved. That's what would really flip you out if you met, let's say, a live master like Buddha or something. You'd realize that concept of Buddha that you think is saving you as a mental process, you'd realize that concept of Buddha should be shot in a way, because it's foregoing the recognition of your own nature. by applying it to someone else. Like that person has it. What I want, they have. No, it's impossible. So,
in a way, what's not happening are worries
geez,
and
that was
fears.
weird.
Our worries and fears, right?
It's God.
What's not happening are like worries and fears.
No,
But-
they're reactions to what's not happening.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, are worries and fears never happening? I mean, they're never rooted in what's happening?
They are happening.
Oh, the
But
worries
they're
and
a
fears are
reaction
happening.
to what's not happening.
Yeah. No, are they always a reaction to what's not happening? Is there ever a time when I suppose if you're in a big fix, there's no time to be worried.
I think that would be fear. That would be a valid emotion. If someone was chasing you with a big kitchen knife, I would imagine fear would be a valid response here. You'd be responding to what's happening.
Maybe there'd only be running. There wouldn't be any time to be afraid. You'd be running or countering it.
Well, no, there would be adrenaline rushing through your body. That's a physiological effect of the emotion of fear. You would take fight or flight. It would not have anything to do with you choosing it. It would just be an involuntary response because the fear would provoke that response. But most people are responding to what's not happening or reacting to what's not happening. It's producing anxiety. It creates a sense of the same thing of fear, but it's not fear because it's not a response to what's happening. There's no real apparent threat. You have to go, your mind has to go into the field of, let's say, the future, and it harvests a crop called anxiety, and then it downloads that crop now into the body. Yeah, so you react as if someone's chasing you with a kitchen knife, but there's no one chasing you with a kitchen knife. It's thoughts that you're attending to that are about you'll be destitute next Friday, or someone in this room doesn't like me, or my pants too short, or does my zipper down, or something or other. You're consumed with what's not happening.
Basically, the idea that they'll be chasing me with a kitchen knife tomorrow
can make your body experience it now, because your body doesn't know anything but now. So whatever the head's reacting to, it thinks it's now. Because the body has no idea of time. There's no past or future in the body. It's just reacting to whatever the head thinks is going on. So if you think what's not happening is going on, and you think it's going to be scary, your body's going to be very, very strung out on fear or anxiety. Your nerves will probably be shot. Your mind will race quite a lot. It's like the mind finds a button that makes up like the physiological effects of fear and the mental effects of fear, but there's nothing to be worried about. So it just buzzes you at any time because it doesn't need any reality to the threat. It makes it up. So let's say you're at a beautiful waterfall and it goes, but they're all going to hate me on Monday at work, So the beautiful waterfall maybe would provoke a response of, beauty and peace. But what happens is you get a mental buzzer, and then you react to next Monday at the office that you think is going to be terrible. Yeah. So the habit of that can get very strong where you're getting buzzed. Let's say maybe in a life you have 15 moments of real fear. Yeah. When something really like I got run over by cars, there was that would be a good response. Fear, hey, this giant Monte Carlo's running me down. I wanted to take flight or a fight. It would probably not be a good idea to choose to fight a Monte Carlo. So flight would have been the more appropriate move. But so maybe 15 times in your life, fear, you have that experience. But you have it 15, 20 times a day, anxiety. The mind's just buzzing your whole system out. I mean, literally, even if it's not even real evolution or anything, but let's say in the caveman time, they don't have as much provoked fear as we do now. And they had things to be afraid of, being eaten, saber-toothed tigers, giant, elephants chasing them. But people are sitting in a beautiful, air-conditioned, four-walled, gated community security, super showers and jacuzzi baths, and they're flipping out all day because of what? They're not reacting to the house and the beautiful condition they're in. They're reacting to what's not happening in their head. And the body doesn't know any different, so the body responds as if there's something really to be afraid of now. So all the chemicals get released and your mind gets racy, and after a while it's racing constantly. I know some people that very rarely are ever even attending to hear now. And you can talk about a mythical problem in Mars, and I've watched it. It only takes their mind a half a second to apply it to themselves. So you say, oh, let's say this person in Australia had a deer in their backyard. Immediately my friend brings it, oh, do I have a deer in my backyard? She's living in California. Faster than any rocket could get there, the thought of that, how it would pertain to her, becomes real. And anxiety gets provoked. Yeah. Just the idea of a deer running in someone else's yard immediately gets to, there's a deer in my yard. And anxiety. This is what the mind is like. Yeah. And if you attempt to apply a solution to what's not happening, that increases the reality of what's not happening for you. The only solution to what's not happening is it's not happening. I mean, how quick do you want it to be? You're totally dismissed from it because you can never have been engaged in it. It's not happening. You see how fast that is? If I'm sitting here, let's say there's 30 years of twisted story of why I'm a loser or something. 30 years of seeming, because the thoughts have an historical feel. When you feel a sense of being you, there's a historical feel to it. It's all made up. It's a sense that's made up. Yeah. Or let's say an epiphany happens, and then the mind rises to stop that event and goes, I'm having this incredible spiritual experience. The feeling of you before the spiritual experience have started is there at the same time. You feel it. There was me before the epiphany, and there's me now that the epiphany is over. But in fact, the epiphany was the demonstration there is no me. But that it's just a minor speed bump to the conditioned head. It sees the revelation of all the truth of all the worlds in that epiphany, and it neuters it by saying, oh, I just had an epiphany. I meaning this. The epiphany could have everything. It was just a total revelation. It was like a momentless moment in time, unadorned as self. I mean, a total revelation of the nature that we are. And immediately, just 4 thoughts, or I had this incredible experience, neuters it. You immediately get back on that historical horse called Paul, and now you're riding on this little linear, prairie, going to your super arrival date. Well, everything will become incredibly bearable. And I get something that I don't have now. It's always, you never can have it now. What's going to make you okay? Isn't it true? You'll never have it now. What can make you okay? It always has to be put off, and you have to play a big role in getting it or not getting it as a self. That's why self has no interest in this message, because it totally makes you irrelevant, because you don't have anything to do to entertain this, and you don't have anything that you need to have to entertain it, and there's nothing you have to stop to entertain it, and there's nothing that you have to give up to entertain it. You have absolutely no relevance. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, it's like some great master said, says, instead of giving up your possessions, just give up the possessor. Yeah. So instead of giving up all you're doing, just give up the doer. Instead of giving up all what's not happening, just realize it's not happening. It's faster than giving it up. There's just a realization it's not happening. Can you imagine if you get hit, that hits you, you immediately lose interest in it. Immediately. You don't have to drag your interest out of what's not happening. Why? Because it's not happening. Not happening is the perfect Zen bitch slap to me. Even right now I'm saying it. It's just, what's not happening? What's the greatest revelation I need to have about what's not happening? It's not happening. That's the only revelation I ever need to be blessed with. As soon as I get it in my gut, I have the ability to have immunity to it because it's shown me its true nature. It's not happening. That's what happened a lot with me. When I was young, in this little action figure story, things overwhelmed me quite a lot. I had death in my family and I didn't know how to deal with it. My grandmother was like the goddess of all goddesses, and then she just passed away and she wasn't there. Yeah. And that was very confounding to my head, 9 years old. So a lot of things I decided, my little strategy as a self was, I'm going to make these things unreal. Yeah. So I started reading a lot of science fiction and started just checking out as much as I could. Then I was into sports, and then I got introduced to drinking. And drinking really worked in a way. I could make what seemed to be so real unreal when I was loaded, and I could make a feeling so I wouldn't be attacked by your feelings. See, you couldn't catch me unawares because I'd have a feeling in place all the time. I'm loaded. So it was like a sense of security. I'm not going to let life sneak up on me anymore. I'm not going to be open to any unconditional feelings and have them. I'm going to have a feeling in place. Yeah. Then the same thing, it pursued on from the drinking, spirit, then recovery, and then a spiritual search. The same thing. I was trying to make what was so incredibly, unbearably real to me unreal by all these damn practices. Then something shifted, and I let it be all that stuff as real as it wanted to be, and it showed me its true nature. It's unreal. While I was trying to make it unreal, it seemed as real can be. Every moment I was trying to make it unreal, I was giving it so much reality. As soon as I let it be as real as it wanted to be, it showed me its true nature. It's unreal. It's not happening. So this is a happening, like it or not. Yeah. There's no way you can ever leave this. There's no way. You can think as much as you want about the future. If they had a surveillance camera in this room, you'd be in it, the film. No matter how much you're dwelling on Monday, you as this cannot be transported there. Yeah, because there's no airport. There's no train station. You can't take a cab from what's happening to what's not happening. There's no destination. It's not happening. Yes? And the same thing about going into the past. There's no place to go. All you do is go into a mythical past made up in where? In a mental realm called what? Not happening. Yeah? And you are the biggest not happening. That's what gives you a passport to go into what's not happening, because only what's not happening can enter what's not happening. When what's happening enters what's not happening, it seemed to be what? Not happening. Yeah? The only way it seems to be happening is when what's not happening, Paul, as this, enters it through its little magic carpet thought. So what's not happening can travel unbelievably. It can actually move into what's not happening. It can dwell in what's not happening. And its main strategy is never allow what's happening to appear. Because as soon as what's happening appears, the whole realm of what's not happening disappears like that. There's not 1 second it takes to be erased because it's not happening. It just goes bing! And at that bing, that's it. That's awakeness. Now, why does this have to come and go? Why does it have to come and go? Why does, I'm still I like what's happening. There's a lot of hope in there that I'll be great. There's a lot of hope that I can be special. I'm going to hold out for what's not happening. My horse is going to come in and what's not happening sooner or later. I got a lot of bets put on what's not happening. And I just going to, I like the idea of what's happening, but I'd rather have what's happening appear in what's not happening so I can put it off to later. Yeah. I don't really want to be free now. I want to do stuff to become free. So let me do my retreats, and then maybe I'll give myself a half a day of freedom because I get rewarded for all I've done. See, in truth, you're irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. It has nothing to do with you whatsoever. Nothing. I can be running around all day at thrift stores, yeah? Not thinking about this quote-unquote message, one iota. I come down here and I sit because it's immediate. Because I have entertained, I can never be out of what's happening. It's an impossibility. Yeah? The whole realm of options that the mind loves to entertain, that things could be different. There's never a redo here, is there? Have you ever been in a moment, let's say at 4 o'clock and there was a bad moment around 3, and then suddenly the lights get turned off and the director comes out and says, hey, I think we want to do another take on that. That didn't go so well for the star, you. All right, so let's gather up. I want you to say, hey, I really like you, Paul, instead of fuck off, Paul, whatever. Sorry. This and that. There's no redo, is there here? Yeah? There's no redo. You don't get to do over 11 o'clock on a Saturday. But what happens is the conditioned mind represents it over and over and over and over and over again. It represents the event with all the options it entertains could possibly be so. Well, this actually it didn't happen. Maybe I deny it completely or disassociate it from it, or I make up a new story about it. I blame someone for my inconvenience or discomfort. You're the one, you're the source of my unhappiness, blah, 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 blah. But in fact, the true solution to all of it is immediate. It's not happening. Yeah? If I had to go up in a room and prepare for this talk, it wouldn't be it. If I sat here and went, okay, I took a big sauna today, just koozie. I listened to Kenny G music. I stared at some pictures of saints, put on my whites and everything. All right, I think I'm ready. Who would be playing God then? If everywhere is everywhere, then wherever you are, no matter how you feel you are or don't feel you are, you're at the access point, yeah? How could everywhere entail a journey? How could everywhere have a center that you're not at? I would say everywhere is the center everywhere. And why aren't we feeling the presence of everywhere? Because of the addiction to being a special somewhere. And that's...
One thing you were saying is about the reluctance to somehow just see it. And is it worthwhile saying something about, in a way, what's not happening? We built it over a lifetime, so we're really invested in it. Like, we put all those years into building what's not happening.
Well, we didn't build it. That's the solution.
You mean it's not built, or that it wasn't we that put that effort in there, or both?
It's not built, and it's not you that did it. It's a mental process that's done it. You're not that mental process. As soon as there's still an identification with the mental process, there'll be some cherishing of what it thought it made. If you're identified with the mental process, there'll be a cherishing with what it thought it made. Even if it made a lot of problems, there'll be a cherishing in there. Because of the idea that I had something to do with it. I made this. Even if it's quote unquote shit, the sense of being the maker of it binds you to it. What happens with me is I've lost interest in it because there's a recognition it's not me. I don't cherish it one bit. Yeah. If something is if the light's there, I'm not looking back longingly hoping it would come with me. Yeah? It's bye-bye. Dismissed. It's just like if there was a woman here I wanted to know in this other room, and I was interested in her biblically, let's say, and I'm afraid to put myself on the line and ask her because she may say no to me. So that rejection scares my selfing immeasurably. So I'm trying to listen into her conversation. And I'm supposed to be here, and I have all the philosophy about being here and all this stuff. But my interest and attention is going in that other room. Did I say this last night? No, probably not. This morning. So here I am listening to this, and she's talking. I'm trying to pick it up. It's difficult, because there's a wall, but my attention is like X-ray hearing, And then I'm listening to her, and then I hear her finally start talking, and she's talking about a guy named Matt. My name's Paul, yeah? So a guy named Matt. As soon as I hear it's about Matt, I lose interest immediately. I do not have to take workshops on how to lose interest to a conversation going on in another room. It's not like a phobia I have, yes? My interest was there because I thought it was about me. As soon as there's a recognition that it's not about me, my interest gets freed. Now, interest and attention, yeah, you say you lose your interest in something, but you never lose interest. Interest is not a commodity, yeah? There's no quantity to it. And attention is no quantity. You don't have just a certain amount of attention in life, yeah? You've spent a lot of attention this week. You better save. Don't attend to anything Saturday and Sunday because you spent a lot on Monday to Thursday. No, there's tons of attention, yeah? I would say it's an infinite source, and there's interest. Lots of it. You lose it in the object. You lose interest in the object, and you lose being attentive to that object. You don't lose attention. So the attention and interest gets freed up, and where does it go? Who knows? It gets directed by something other than selfing. Yeah, maybe what I found, the interest and attention attends to this place, but it also rests in its own nature. Yeah, it can't rest in its own nature when you think you are what's attentive and interested. Then the interest and attention gets addicted to or bonded to being interested in attending self or selfing. Yeah. But that, if you see yourself as not that object, that interest and attention will be freed from that obsession, and it will attend and be interested in some other things or no things. What I found is that it has plenty of attention to make it through every day, and it can still rest in the source of itself. Yeah. And to me, that's the sense of presence, is to be aware, to be conscious of that awareness. Yeah? When I'm conscious only of the thoughts about me as an object, I'm unconscious to that awareness. And then I start looking for that awareness in outside things. I believe things are going to bring me what I would only be brought, and it wouldn't be a bringing. I realize that I am what I'm seeking. Yeah. I am truly what I'm seeking. Or as St. Francis says, what's looking is what you and I are looking for. But the conditioning of selfing is I will not look this way because there's already someone in place. I think I'm Paul. So then all my attention interest will go outside to things, be it a savior or a car or a job or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And usually they ultimately fail because they're not what's looking. Yeah. So, yes.
Can we say something? Because very interesting, you say there's no lack of interest and there's no lack of attention. And some people, especially kids, are actually diagnosed with some kind of attention deficiency. And apparently they don't relate to what's offered them in their life, namely school. And they don't identify with it. And so then what does that mean? It just means that they have no attention in it. They have no attention to it and no interest in it.
But they have plenty of awareness.
Yeah, they have plenty of awareness.
Yeah.
So then that whole disease is really nothing. It's not really real.
It's real here.
It's real here if you're trying to force someone to go to school or do something they don't want to.
Yeah, it's real here as much as you're real. If you're real here, the effects of this place are real. It's just like if I'm in a dream and there's a tiger in that dream, that tiger's going to scare the hell out of me, isn't it? If I'm an object, if I'm a dreamt object, when I see that tiger, I'm going to be scared as hell. I'm going to ask for some kind of book of how to live with tigers or get along with them or not get eaten by them. And there's really only one solution to that, is to wake up. When you wake up out of the dream, there is no dream tiger, is there? So in this place of what's not happening, anything can happen. People can have the wildest diseases in the world here. There's angels and devils. There's entities that eat you. They eat your energy. Yeah. There's entities that your idea of being a self is like a giant steering wheel they just use to drive all around everywhere, creating confusion and energetic disruption. And you're the perfect host for them because everything that moves through you, you claim to be you. You never see the foreignness of what's running your life. You never see the parasitical tendency of self-centeredness. You keep claiming every one of its expressions is yours. That's the perfect bonding agent. Anything can go through you and you'll claim it. You'll be guilty and shameful for things you had nothing to do with. It's like dancing with a gorilla. You don't stop dancing until the gorilla decides to stop. Aren't you taken over by many desires and feelings? A lot of times during the day, don't you ever feel like you're possessed? Something possesses you, and then what happens is there's an acting out in you, and then you're left in what we call an emotional hangover. You feel as bad as you've ever felt for a couple of days because you've claimed that behavior that moved through you as you. You're the perfect foil for anything to take over because you'll claim its expressions as you every time. It's the perfect hiding place. Yeah. To me, mental grooves like samskaras in Hindu, mental grooves to me are like foreign entities. The mind has a lot of different strains and it takes you over and it uses you to express itself through. to me, the only immunity to those takeovers is to realize what you are, because believing what you're not is the perfect landing pad for all those takeovers, because you're not present to your own nature. So, of course, you'll call anything that expresses itself to you as your nature. If you don't know your nature, you'll take on a lot of different beliefs about what your nature is. I'm really freaking bad. I'm possessed. I'm not a good person. I've hurt all these people in my life. There's no matter, in the courtrooms of this world, I have been tried, convicted, judged, and sentenced. I'm the judge, I'm the jury, the prosecutor, and the defendant. There is no, I have heard people share here, and the cases against themselves are airtight. There is no way in hell, in this courtroom of this world, they can have any pardon from that judge of God up in their head. It has to be brought to a court of light, yes? It has to be brought to a court of light. You have to see from singularity, not duality. I hear people tell me they are screwed. Literally, they are screwed. Their kids have been taken away from them. They have no place to live. They're living in a cardboard box. Their teeth are falling out. They have no health care. The husband is a total wreck. He's stalking her. The kids are all whatever, this and that. What are you going to say to someone like that? Oh, there isn't a person there. This place is airtight. Yeah? You cannot win an acquittal in this court. You are always are being tried by what you believe to be you. Yeah? The court of light is the recognition of what's not happening, the recognition of I'm not happening. And in that court of light, like in the Course of Miracles, they would talk about atonement. And atonement, in a sense, in my take on it, is that you don't see anything wrong. There's no need for forgiveness. Nothing ever happened here. That's the court of light. Everyone who comes in here, no matter what stack of charges you have against yourself, they're all null and voided like that. Because the appellate court down here has no jurisdiction over that supreme light court. Yes? You bring yourself to that singularity, and then you'll see the unreality of duality. But in duality, these things seem as real can be. Yes?
Yeah, I got to turn this off. Hold on a second.
I did this thing when I was out there. I was running around like crazy. And so one of my ways I made myself feel a little better while I was running around like crazy, I was waiting for this. I had this car accident. I was waiting for some money one day. I was supposed to get a big settlement, which I didn't get. So my belief was, when I get this settlement, I'm going to stop over in New York and give my mother money, because my mother was poor and needed money. And this was my little way of appeasing the unbearability of being here as this self. I'll make amends for it by giving my mother money. Then I got some money from it after 5-6 years. Did I stop and give my mother money? No. Now, all the years later that I was running around, there was no way I was ever going to get let loose of that court case, yeah? I was convicted. I didn't care how much therapy I would receive, or no, Paul, it's okay, no. Yeah? It was like there was an itch, I scratched it, I'm going to suffer. This is what it's like in this head. To try to get this thing to be convinced is impossible, because it's determined by duality. It can be convinced in 1 minute and then be unconvinced the next minute. Yeah, it can give you a pass from your little imprisonment, and then it sends the dogs out for you, and then you seemingly are dragged back. Yeah. If you're having a good day, how long does it last for you before your head says something? Really, how long? If you're having a really, really good day, maybe 15 minutes. Then the feeling of I'm a fraud. They're going to find out. Once they start knowing me, the game's over, all this stuff. But the same head, if you're feeling bad, says it's going to be forever, isn't it? It's a depression coming on. I know it. Months and months. I can see the blackness of the tunnel. I see it. But a good day, bad day, you want that to interpret your life? You're going to be at the short end of the stick, literally. Yeah. To me, it's... But you cannot get away from its jurisdiction if you're a self. If you believe you're a self, you are going to suffer the rights and the wrongs of this place. Yeah? Everyone's going to be dirty here. There's no one is clean in this place. Nobody. Yeah? Yes? Who's that? I think I know
Z.
this man. Who?
Z. Little Z.
It's Z.
Hey, brother.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What was that you just
Good.
offered me?
It's
Daiquiri.
a shot glass with a gardenia and a fresh
good,
gardenia.
Good.
Smells so good. No, I'm not drinking.
Should come over
That's-
here.
That's not happening. Anyhow, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say hello.
How you doing, Z?
I'm good. I'm out here in Mexico, and life is good, and I'm just not believing in the stories too much anymore.
All right.
Too much.
I think they've locked the door. I'm gonna be in the cellar from now on.
You're in what?
I'm just gonna have internet talks now. I'm gonna be in the cellar from now on.
Well, where are your pal talks?
It's an undisclosed location right here. I don't know. They won't let me know where I am. I'm imprisoned.
How about the pal talk?
I have no where I don't know where the pal talk is. I think they may have been through with Paul talk. They don't moved on. Now they said they were coming, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah. So I can really relate to what you're saying as far as St. Francis, that we are that which we seek. And it seems like whenever I seem to get on this kick of needing to find anything other than what is right now, then I'm screwed.
Well, your head is.
Well, and there's always something that seems to just be there, constant, present, not involved with it.
Yes.
And when I rest in that, there's peace.
Well, there's peace because you cannot not rest in that. That's the good news.
Right. So it seems like, in a way, making up these little practices is just another kind of way not to be here now.
Yes.
To avoid that which is.
Yes.
Or what you're calling, what's your little expression there? What's not happening.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like an addiction in a way.
Well, this isn't enough for the mind. It's like that song, This Is It. It's a little like a sort of disappointment in the chorus. This is it? Make no mistake, this sucks. This is it. Yeah. But this is it isn't seen as this is it because it's seen in the juxtaposition of this is that. Yeah.
But like you said, this is everything. So this is it. It's everything. How can it not be it?
That's true.
It's not just one little thing called awareness. It's everything.
So what happens if there's no option for you to entertain?
There's just what's happening right now.
Yeah.
If there's always something else that's got to be happening or that's better than this, then I'm trapped. Then I'm seeking. But if this is it.
Well, it makes up an I that can be trapped or let go. See, that's the dilemma. As soon as there is an I, then the duality becomes seemingly real. It can be let go or trapped. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. With Paul, does the mind still get into its little shenanigans and try to make up stories?
That's all it does.
Okay. So that's not necessarily going to end. Just the belief in those stories ends.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely is like that momentless moment. I can't say absolutely in time because I haven't been there yet.
Right. There
but
is no future.
As much as it can be absolutely right now, absolutely. But I can't say absolutely forever.
Well, it's been absolutely for 20 years or whatever.
For me, it's
maybe I'll. For you, what?
To me, it's attempting to tonight. I feel it really strong. The freedom from optionlessness is unbelievable. Or it's just like there was an old book called the Wisdom of No Escape. The wisdom of no escape is incredible. I think they interpret it a different way than I'll say it. But see, there's no escape because there's nothing to escape from. That's the optionlessness of it. Yeah. To even the wisdom of escape would imply that there's something to escape from. That's not wisdom to me. The wisdom is that there is no option whatsoever concerning your nature. None. And that's what's so beautiful about it for me. There's absolutely no option. So if there's any entertaining of an option, it's very clearly seen as not that. Yes? Because it's an optionless state. I didn't say it's not even a state. It's optionless. It's choiceless.
Presence.
Yeah? So if it's choiceless, and there's an entertaining of choice up here, I must not be that. Yes? If it doesn't have the quality of choicelessness, I must not be that. Yeah? So it's not like, oh, I'm going to choose choicelessness. Choicelessness means there's no choice. It's just like the same idea of everywhere. How can you go to everywhere?
You're already there.
Exactly. How can you have any relevance in the discovery of everywhere? You'd have to have relevance in the discovery of everywhere, you'd have to be in a special somewhere that you disdained or left, and then you arrived in this noble everywhere, which would just give the relevance wouldn't be on the everywhere, it'd be on the you who left the special somewhere to go to the everywhere. That's not everywhere. Yeah? The everywhere is optionless. Where is there a place, and I'm not saying there isn't everywhere, it's just a way of painting a picture. Where would there be anywhere other than everywhere in everywhere? And if it is, or if all there is everywhere, where would there be a center in everywhere? Wouldn't that be everywhere? And everywhere you would start to go to everywhere would be included in everywhere. Everywhere where you thought you left everywhere would be included in everywhere. And it would make what? Doing and having pointless, wouldn't it?
A journeyless journey.
So you would be confronted with your incredibly benign, divine irrelevance. And once and for all, it would sink in, and that's that.
That irrelevance is really something to reckon with, because a moment ago you were saying this moment is never good enough, but actually it's just zero, because like the irrelevance of what's not happening, there's absolutely nothing for thoughts and ideas and a false self in this moment. There's absolutely zero here.
Even in this place, have you ever seen cultures that they've never had a microwave? They don't have like 2-car garages. They don't have like remote control TVs. They're pretty happy if you ever travel. I mean, if you ever travel around the world, some of the poorest countries have a lot more smiling than we ever see here in this country. I mean, tons more smiling. So if that's a good gauge of someone traveling lighter, they seem to be traveling a lot lighter. Then, through our great magnanimity, let's say, we introduce them to modern technology, microwave. And I've gone to old villages now, they have huge antennas. They have big TVs in these thatched huts, which may not be right or wrong. But then they have now been given an option, and now they have the disquiet based on that option, that things could be different. Yes? In a deep way, those are expressions of the basic core of denying the optionlessness of our state and believing we have an option. See, the entertaining of an option makes up the one who has the option. When there's no more entertaining of an option, you see through the one that had the option. And you realize there has never been a one to have an option, because there's no option for a one to have an option. Yeah?
So that goes back to what I was saying. It negates all practice. Any practice would actually be seeking another.
Well, to me, it doesn't negate practices. Practices happen here, but it would negate, I think, some people's idea of what the practices are going to fulfill, to me. I don't know about them, but for me, it's negated. But practices happen here. Yeah? So if your conditioning as this action figure is to be conditioned to do practice away.
But it's not going to take you anywhere.
If it didn't take you anywhere, that would be a damn good practice.
Right. How could it? If
that would be the best practice of all. If it doesn't take you anywhere, you've run into the best practice of all time. Yeah.
But ultimately, how could it? Isn't that really the reality, that we're already 100% complete? To do a practice implies that we're not, and we're seeking that.
No, a practice only implies that you're doing it if you're the self. Practices happen here. That doesn't imply that there's anyone doing it except to a self. And that's what I think taints the practice, is that there's the practitioner. I don't think there's anything wrong with practices. What bothers me is the practitioners. You know what I mean? The sense of being a practitioner is what defeats the purpose of the practice to me.
So it's about
hold on,
it's about not being identified with the practitioner or the mind.
So what's wrong with the practice?
Only if you believe that you're actually the one that's practicing and you're gonna get somewhere.
And the practice can't believe that, can it?
The practice itself doesn't even know. It has no belief whatsoever.
Exactly. So you're injecting the meaning into the practice. If the mind or the self is injecting the meaning into the practice, it will use the practice for its own advantage to do what? Either to downgrade or embellish the self. Either way, a bad self and a good self is still the bondage to self. So it will use the practice to its own advantage. Like Rinpoche said, the ego or the movement of self will take advantage of anything it comes in contact with. So let's say you come in contact with a practice and you become the practitioner. It's going to take advantage of that practice to either embellish you with like spiritual robes or embellish you with a defeated, not a good spiritual seeker robe, whatever. But it will adorn itself with the practice, yeah? That's what it does. Yeah? People are doing it with non-practice now. We've gotten so subtle here, people are now practicing non-practice. They want to experience non-self as a self. They're really working hard at it. They wonder why. It's a difficult situation. Yeah. So someone gives you a beautiful message. Hey, there may not be an inherent, long-lasting, independent, separate entity, but what hears that is the selfing, yes? And so now the selfing is trying to be a non-self. Yeah. And now it's arguing with other people who are trying to be non-selves to see which one's the best non-self. Who's got the clearest non-self take? They're the true non-self. All the others are false non-selves. Come on. You know? I had someone, I hope they're not listening to this, and this was just, I'm involved in recovery, and this person from another country got some talks on the website. And at the end of the talks, we say a prayer. It's a custom in recovery, and it's called a serenity prayer. And then wherever area you're in, you have usually a saying at the end. So you say, you're shaking everyone's hand, you say, not where I'm from, it's keep coming back. In Minnesota, it was peace. That's what they say. I like the peace better. So everyone would say, keep coming back. So this lady emailed me, says, I really love this talk, but after every talk, I hear this thing. I don't get the whole thing. It sounds like keep coming back. What's that? And then there's a mumbling. So I said, oh, that's something we do in recovery. We say the prayer, serenity prayer. You know, God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change and the courage to change. And then I got an email back in like a nanosecond. What do you mean, courage to change? Who can change? I said, come on. It's what it conveys. Yes, it's the spirit of the message. Don't be a Pharisee, like an Advaita Pharisee. The letter of the word has to be perfect, and you lose the conveyance of the spirit of freedom. Yeah, so that's sort of.
You said to me once, Paul. You said, we admit who we are to see that we're not that.
Yes, definitely.
When I was talking to you about identifying as as an addict in a meeting or whatever. You simply said, we admit who we are to see that we're not that.
Exactly. Everything. See, so you let it be as real as it wants to be, and then you admit, and that's when you get relief from it, didn't you? In my thing, in our recovery, the first step is that you admit to your innermost self, the deepest part of yourself, that you are that, and then you start living as if you're not that from that moment on. While you're denying you are that, you keep living as that. You live the verb of addiction, but you're denying the noun of it. This is, we accept the noun of it. I'm totally an addict, and then you don't live as one. Yes? It's not nouns. The verb is the dilemma. This self is not a noun. Selfing, it's a verb. It's a mental process that's making up, through the process, through the verb of thoughts and interpretation, a sense of being a noun. Yeah? The verb is what imprisons us. The noun is what keeps us from recognizing the solution. Yeah? We don't want to admit that we're a noun, and yet we're constantly at the effect of the verbing. By admitting, yes, that you're the noun, then you get freedom from the verbing. So when I realize, Jesus Christ, for all and purposes as this, I'm a self, and then you realize I'm not that. Yeah? Because how could I be what I perceive? How could I be what I see? But while I'm denying it, I'm acting as if I'm a self all fucking day. Well, all day, sorry.
So it's like owning a shadow.
It's, to me, seriously, it's the solution is the absence of this. And you can get to it you don't get to it, but in a way, you can actually, by just telling the truth of your perceptions, it seems as real can be, yeah? You look down, the body. You're looking, you're seeing thoughts. You're hearing, and everything's being claimed by you. Take this verification as the proof of your own absence. Because if you follow the great words of the master Hoang Po, whatever can be perceived cannot perceive. So what are you perceiving as you all day? Thoughts, feelings, body, all of these things that can be perceived. If you follow his logic, that recognition that they can be perceived, and then he gives you the solution, they cannot perceive. So I'm not that. So as that is being presented all day, I'm not that. So what you would say is the poison, in a weird way, that's presenting all day is actually the antidote. Because you see it, feel it, taste it, touch it, and I'm not that. Yeah. So in your absence, you sense a presence. Unfortunately, when you sense the presence, the absence arises in thought and goes, oh, I just sensed the presence, and now that presence becomes absent. And it becomes absent, and that makes you a seeker for that presence, and then you join a path or a process to access the presence from the absence, which you cannot do. Because why? It's absent. How could the absent ever arrive at the presence and have an experience of presence? If the absence arrived at the presence, it would seem its irrelevance, because what? It's absent. Yeah? So, of course, you can't entertain the presence because it would be so immediate a crushing blow, it makes it a far-off goal that I'll get to as I'm acting like I'm the absence all day. Yes? It's the last thing it ever wants to meet is the presence, because then it would realize its absence. Yes? I'm just saying that's an optionless state. There's no need to take a process to realize your absence. The absence is obvious by your presence. Your whole presence, all your story is based on this, and it's yelling out at you that it's not real because it's present here. What do they say is real? Do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you taste it? Do you touch it? Do you smell it here? Do you see reality? Do you see it as a thing? Is it appearing here? Is it blowing in your ear? Do you feel it? Touching it? You can sense it, intimate it, but do you see it, hear it? Yeah? No. So it doesn't seem everywhereness is not revealing itself here in a way, because here is absent. Yes? By recognizing my absence, that's the presence. What's totally present seems absent to me, doesn't it? Don't you ever get a sense of this? When I'm present, everywhere doesn't seem to be present. Yet they tell me everywhere is all-knowing God, whatever. The Buddha nature is everywhere, the void, the emptiness. Why aren't you sensing any of it? Because you're here. And when you're here, that's the absence. So how are you going to experience the presence in the absence? So you tell the truth about the absent, which seems present to you. And by telling the truth of it, it shows its true nature, which is absent. And then there's the sense of the presence. Like that. Bing. Simple. No process to get rid of it because it's absent. Tell me, do you call a moving company to move some absence out? Hey, I've got a huge amount of absence over here. When can you come? You better bring 2 trucks. I got tons of absence. It's absent. That's the solution. You see the absence. That's the presence.
Hey, I worked in trucking. They do that all the time, Paul. They pay top dollar for that.
I had an experience once. I did this retreat, went on 8 days. And so the 6th day, it was a weird type of retreat. They took us to Walmart for some strange reason. And when I walked in there, I never saw something that was so full, so empty. Yeah? Its fullness, I got its absence. Yeah? Walking in these giant cavernous aisles of junk, tons of stuff, it was so absent. The presence signified its absence exactly as this. This signifies this absence. That's the presence. The presence is right where the absence seems to be appearing. But you're taking the absence to be real, and for it to be real, the presence has to seem unreal. Be it for a second or a minute or a lifetime. There's some way you have to put the presence into time and space and hide it. Because this wants to be real. And it can't be real in presence. So it's absence. Yeah? So absence, there's tons of shenanigans going on in what's not happening. Tons of it. But it has one missing quality. It's not happening. How else are you going to dance with what's not happening other than to recognize it's not happening? If you wrestle with it, if you pin it, if you think you won, that victory didn't happen. If you get therapy over it and you start feeling relief from what's not happening, how can what's not happening have an effect on you if it's not happening? And therefore, how could you get relief from what's not happening? The relief from what's not happening is it's not happening. It's immediate. It slaps you. That's why one of the reasons I call it Zen bitch slap. It startles the verb of selfing into submission because a verb can stop. Yeah? In that stop, what seems to be so present with all this yapping going on is seen as absent. That's the presence.
Yet words could be complicated, and it seems like it needs to be experiential.
Well, it can't be experiential because there's no you to have an experience of it. It's a realization. It's not an experience. I have tons of experiences. I've never experienced this. Never. It's just it's the context. You can't have an experience of it. It would have to be something in the content. It's the context. It's a being. It's not qualified in time as something that happened. I had an experience and then it stops happening. It's always so. You can't have an experience. That's why we miss it. It's really like that. It's like if there was a buzz that was always on, you wouldn't notice it. Would you? Just like gravity. You don't notice the effects of gravity because you're always under the effects. If you went up into space, then you'd realize, Jesus, now I have a sense of the presence of gravity by its absence. That's exactly what I'm saying. By seeing this, and then entertaining its absence, that's the sense of the presence of everything. Just like the fish, I really sincerely believe that fish have no idea of wetness or water. They're totally immersed in it their whole life. They have no idea what it's like to be wet because they've never had an experience of being wet because it's been continually wetness. Yeah, there's never been a moment when it hasn't been wet. Maybe they'll have an experience when they're on the deck of a boat flapping around, and it's probably a very rude awakening. But in a sense, they probably never had an experience of being wet, and yet they're wet constantly. That's exactly what we're like. We're drenched in this space or presence, and yet we're acting as if we're dry. And we're coming here to get water. It's hilarious, really. Because I can give you nothing. That's the best thing. If I gave you a glass of water, I'd leave here immediately. If I give you any glass of water, I'd get out of here. I give you nothing, I hope, so that you get everything. But if you come home, if you leave here with something, that will preclude you getting everything. Because then there'll be something. Yeah? So hopefully you're going to get nothing tonight. I've been getting nothing all these years. Thank God.
Thanks for nothing, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome, Z. Thank you. Hey,
all right, thanks, Richard. Love you guys.
Hey, see you. Hey, Tom. Time to pick up that thing.
Have a good time there.
Oh, bro, see, it's nice to see you. Stay in touch.
Adios.
Adios.
I don't. Let me just ask you a question. Do you still struggle with this being trapped by the mind? I'm sure that in the past you were trapped by your mind, so to speak.
No, there was trapping by the mind, but in fact, from what happens when you see, there was never a you that was ever trapped or free. So it sounds corny, and you say, "Oh no, there wasn't me," but really, that's the sense of it. There was trapping, but there was never a you that was trapped. That's what made the trap juicy, because there was a you in it.
Okay.
But you were not that you.
Okay. Yeah, I've been listening to you, and you're offering some really tremendous things. So I'm very excited about it. But the question is, has this paid off in your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Travel light.
That's all I want to know.
More. Yeah. The apparatus is traveling light. Totally. I mean, yeah. It's a byproduct. The apparatus travels lighter because the apparatus is based on heavy and light. Yeah. So now the apparatus is traveling lighter. Now, if there's a preference, I'd much rather travel light here than heavy. Yeah. So it's like having a nice car or a bad car. It's not you, but you'd rather have a nice one, wouldn't you? I would. Something that lasts, like a good Toyota. I don't know if Toyota's so good now, but I mean, in the old days, Toyota was a reliable thing. So this is like a reliable action figure now. Travels light through a lot of different terrains of circumstances and situations. I've had quote-unquote good times, bad times, almost died a couple of times in the water, almost broke my neck, operations like that. But all the while those things would happen, there would be like a frame of light around some of them. They were great events, actually, as experiences come. They were great experiences. To be almost out in the water on a sunset night, dying, I mean, the body shutting down. It was really exquisite, actually. I felt like the last time I almost died, I got hit by a Chevy Monte Carlo. I thought it was great progress. I almost died in the water on a beautiful sunny day surfing. I said, geez, I can't wait to see what's going to happen when I actually go. Hopefully it'll keep progressing. This was a nice show, man. I was sort of upset I lived. I said, that was a good way to go. I would have died. They'd probably have. If I could have come back, I'd see them have a little ceremony there. I looked like I was special after I died. So, experiences have people give meaning to things, but to be open to whatever shows up. I mean, some things that people would call a bad experience are really quite glorious in a lot of ways. I had experiences from getting hurt that I never felt, certain sensations in my life, and now I felt them. I wouldn't like to feel them every day, as an action figure, but it was incredible because I never felt certain things. And then suddenly I have a totally new feeling, physical feeling I've never entertained my whole life. It was sort of cool. I had this one where I was giving a talk. It was really weird. I was giving a talk in the city. And right at the last minute, I heard this big bass string in my leg go poing, like something plucked it. I never had an experience like that. Yeah, it just stopped me in my heart and my tracks. I fell down, and while I'm laying there, people are coming up and asking me questions. They have no idea I'm having this extreme physical, painful event, and they're still, are you going to be here on Wednesday? He said, give me a break. Totally have no idea, But I had never felt anything like that. It was like a big ping, like a big bass string. Someone plucked it. Whoa. And people are totally oblivious, Everyone's so subjectively in their own little what's not happening. Can't you see I'm fucking dying? Tell me something to do. No, I'm giving you nothing. Leave me alone. So, I mean, it's not, you don't need to deny what's going on here because it's not happening. Yeah. To deny it would mean that it was happening. And the only way it can mean that it's happening is to a you. Now, it's happening seemingly to a you, but you're not that. That's the optionless state. And it tends to let you rest, like a consistent rest, not something conditional, but rest, even when it doesn't seem like there's any rest, because there's something that's at home or at peace. It's not getting disturbed as much, and it intimates its nature while living here. The context will come through and intimate itself into the content. And you're conscious, there's consciousness, so it can become conscious of the awareness. You can become conscious of it. You can't see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, touch it, but you can intimate it, You sense the presence. And then you realize that presence is your absence. When this is absent, which it inherently is, it doesn't have to appear to be absent to you, it's absent, Then the everywhereness is always available at all times. It's to me, one of the biggest qualities is no time involved in it. There's no having to do or anything. It extracts the idea of time. Even that thing we call a pause, Pause. A pause, in a sense, is like a timeless moment, bookended by time moments. That in that pause, it can seem like an eternity when there's no time, even though only 20 minutes passed in, clock time. And in that infinity, in that timelessness, everything and all is possible. You're inherently as totally free as you could ever be in that moment of pause, without any doing or having. It just reveals an unadorned nature. Selfing isn't covering it with the cloak of identity. There's a sense of that. That's always available at all times, intimated or not. To me, that's the optionless state. The day we was given the idea of having an option, that's when hell and heaven appeared. Yes, that's when ugliness and beauty arised. That's when virtue and evil occurred. Yes, when we believed oneness could be separated into two-ness, and there could be lack of oneness if I did one thing, and there'd be more oneness if I did another thing. There could be more consciousness if I was really good and less consciousness if I'm really bad. When the optionless state is all there is consciousness. There's no gathering consciousness and losing consciousness. It appears here to be unconscious and conscious, but that is just an appearance in where the absence. The presence is all there is consciousness. In the absence, there can seem to be conscious and there can seem to be unconscious people, and acts and moments. But that's only in the absence can everywhere be a special somewhere or at some time. But in this absence of this, that presence reigns supreme. It's always so, just as it is and just as it isn't at all times and no time. So where's there to go to access it? It's the relinquishment of the option to access it is when you get established as it, to me. When that relinquishment of believing it's up to you to entertain this, because you've been served, maybe not tonight, maybe you don't think you got a spiritual subpoena, but you've been served at some kind of meeting like this. The message has already been given to you. It's a done deal. The optionless state has been offered. Yes? Now you're just wasting time, or thinking you are, trying to avoid it. But you can't, like Ramana said, your head's in the tiger's mouth. It's a done deal. There's no escape. Oops. Shit, I can't be a noble self practicing and trying and striving for something that's unattainable. Nope. You are that. If you want to strive for it, that happens here. But
I think you said that the day we were given options or something. It's as if it's part of. Is that a part of the maturing process, or is that? Is that just enculturation, or? I mean, it's a belief in our own mind, right? In our own
I would
mental
say
process.
it's an immaturing process. If I'd say you're more mature when you're a baby than you ever are as an adult. You're closer to maturity and soundness of mind when you don't have one than you are when you think you have one. Don't you think? Like my golden years were between 2 and 4, really. I was wide awake and everything was great because I had no idea it could be different, really. My mother could have been super fat and ugly, but I couldn't think of her as she should be different. She should be beautiful. So I just had love. When I was playing, I wasn't thinking, will I be playing next week? Because I had no idea of time yet. So there was just playing, no option. And there was total freedom in that no option. And all of that happened. I didn't think, hey, I could live in a different street. I didn't really look at my house and go, hey, this isn't good enough for me. None of that happened. I wasn't in an abusive situation. So there was what you would say taking a lot for granted, but there was really no questioning. Yeah. I wasn't looking behind anything because just as engaged. I was totally up against it. And it was wonderful, I thought. There was a lot of wonder and awe in that way of traveling. And then there was an outgrowing of it. If you want to call it maturing, I think it's immaturing. I outgrew that and I became identified with a mental process. And I forgot the conscious contact that affords only the immediacy of this now as relevant. And I entered a freaking crazy realm of thoughts about me and a you and about how it should be and it shouldn't be and this should be different and I don't like this because you're not like that and all of this stuff. And all it did was compound confusion upon confusion upon confusion to this little action figure. And then the worst is when the self wants to look for a relief from itself. How can self get out of self? It has to be seen it's not you. That's how you get out of it, by recognizing you were never in it. I know, I have a lot of kids at my house because the lady who owns the house takes care of her daughter's kids. And now the one's older now, 4 years old, so now she got the younger one. And so every day I walk out of my room and this kid, like a beam of light, just follows me. He can't crawl yet, so he follows me until he falls down. He just keeps, and he tumbles over. His gaze, his connection is so cool. Yeah, no blinking, just locks on you and just follows you, and he keeps following. And then he can't turn enough, and he tumbles down, but he's still trying to see you. And one gaze like that, where does it arrest you? In the boundless moment. Yes. I mean, it would be different if everyone you drove by was smiling at you and there was intimacy. Some of the best intimate moments, like I said today, was when I look at toll booth operators because they know I'm going to be moving and I know I'm going to be moving from them, so you can really look at them. Yeah, I sometimes more intimacy than a relationship I'm in for that toll booth operator. Because when I'm in a relationship, I know what they like. I know who she is. It's all preconceived. It's got a wholly different agenda. You believe you're in there for love. The head has a whole different plan for you there. Have you ever noticed? You get into an intimate relationship, it seems like it gives you permission to dump all your shit. It's like a dump site. Okay, I'm gonna back up my truck. You're the blame for freaking everything. And then if a stranger walks by, you shut up. You may be flipping out with her or him, but as soon as you see a stranger, you don't want them to see it, but you're ready to let them, the one you love, get it. Give me a break. Is that love? It's love and hate. It's a dualistic relationship. It has nothing to do with love, in a sense. It has to do with demands and payback time. You've always disappointed me. Now it's my time to get back at you. Or I know I'm unlovable, so I'm going to make so many bars up to prove that you can't love me, so I'll be right. It's insanity. Where did this come from? When you were a kid and it was an abusive situation, did you have a hesitancy to run to your mother when she came home? Did you stop suddenly and go, oh, I don't know. What would it imply to her if I ran over to her? Would it mean that I love her? I don't know if that's safe. I've got to make sure I look like I'm a little detached. No, you see her and just run right to her. Just like kids run to strangers and the parents run, stop, Teddy, come back here. The kids, hey, check out my kite. No, get away from that stranger. Yeah, I'm sure things happen, but, I see it in where I live. I pull up to a big SUV, and the lady's there with the tennis outfit, and she got the aluminum giant coffee cup and this, and the son's little chair seat thing is more expensive than my whole truck. And the kid looks at me through the window, and I can see he's ready to smile, and then a thought arises, and he stops and he looks at his mother. That's what I'm talking about. That hesitation is hell. That's an eternity of hell, that 1 second. You think it's just a passing moment, but that's hell, manifestation of hell. What happened to that natural response? It's been thwarted. You've been artificially made into something that you're not, and the suit doesn't really fit you well. It's like you've got a helmet, and you're breathing this atmosphere of anxiety and righteousness and specialness. It's not really, but everyone's afraid to take off that freaking helmet, I guess, You ever see the movies where the one guy finally, this is so unbearable, I'm taking it, and they're all going, don't take the helmet off, you'll die, and he takes the helmet off, and then he goes, oh, we were fooled, you can breathe this atmosphere, you mean I put up with this? Oh, I'm going to be right about it, I'm going to keep it on, I can't be wrong that I made a big mistake. No, take the freaking helmet off. Yeah, so. People are waiting for their head to tell them they've arrived. Your head's never going to be convinced this message, because it's not about being convinced or unconvinced. It's a recognition of an optionless situation. You are that. There's no choices. In every moment of your day, weren't you there? In every relationship that sucked, if you looked at them, which was the one constant in them all? You. You call it your life, but you don't recognize the inness of it, do you? It's so amazing. We call life our life, and yet we don't have any experience of really being in it. We have an experience of it happening to us, but we don't get a sense that we're in it. But we're adamant about calling it your life. When you're truly in it, when you realize life is just happening. When it's happening to you, you're not in it at all. You're just reacting to an interpretation about it. But when life is just seen as happening, you're totally in it. But you have the joy of being the fish because you sense the water. Yeah? You're swimming around, having contact with the shells and everything, but you got a double bonanza. You sense the water. You sense the context from which you are. Yeah? As you're appearing to be a fish. And there's no dispute between the appearance and the revelation. You don't have to deny the appearance because it's not going to make the revelation even stronger. The revelation and the appearance totally are okay. It's just like in Zen. They say first there is the mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is the mountain. So first there is the mountain. Everything seems real and you're real and I'm real. Then maybe something shifts and you realize there is no mountain. And what happens? Then there's the mountain again. But now there's no argument with the mountain. You don't want it to be taller or shorter or over here or away from India and put it into California. I want the Himalayas in California. I don't want to have to take an 18-hour plane ride, get them there. No. Mountains are the mountains because they're not. You can let them be their real nature because they're not real. Yes. Yeah. Any questions? Because I'm going to be done soon. I can sense it. You've had more than enough. You got a double dose. You got tons last night. Jesus Christ. 1 second or one sentence of it can lock you in. Repetition's good though, in a way. Because the mind's like a lazy Susan. You never know which slot's going to be open. So you keep slipping in. One gets in there, then, yeah. That's what happened with me. I got an unspoken yes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And from that moment, I had an instant, intent to hear it. and suddenly something that I had no idea of, quote unquote, non-duality, I became aware of it through other people teaching, who I probably was in the same town I'd been in many, many times, but I had no idea and no inclination to ever see anyone. Suddenly I'm interested in it. And so I went there, and the fire was stoked, and I heard it from others. And then, because the mind's ability to entertain is unbelievable, but it's saddled in self-centeredness, which it doesn't get much to entertain. Like maybe it'll be better tomorrow, or my next relationship will save me, or the money will secure me, whatever. It's got very limited possibilities. But my mind has an incredible ability to entertain. It's just not getting fed much possibility. So this was a new possibility I finally heard, and it was like food, or like manna from heaven. My mind entertained it, and there was some kind of, because it saw the obviousness of it. Yeah. It's my mom. Paul, get home. Richard's not a good influence on you, Paul. Come home to New York. Yes, Mom. Sorry.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Doug checking in.
Doug.
From Cleveland. I'm back. I called in last
You're my
night.
sole audience on the internet.
Well, I'm showing 10 viewers.
10? Oh, jeez. Thank God I'll never have to worry about what popularity will do to me. That hurdle has been removed, thank God.
There's 10 on Ustream and 24 on
Oh, Jesus.
So there's 34.
How many members do I have in my immediate family? 33. So one stranger has called in. That's good. You won't believe what I have to give them at Thanksgiving. All those family members. Hey?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get used to the time lag. No, I just want to say your talk today keeps reminding me of movies that I've seen in the past. And like you were talking about primitive cultures that seem to be much happier than we are with a lot less technology, reminded me of The Gods Must Be Crazy, which I don't know if you remember that movie from the 80s.
Yeah, the Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah, with the Coke bottle that falls out of the sky. And it just cracked me up. And then when you were talking about the people with the helmets, it reminded me of the movie Lost Horizon, where here these people are in paradise, and half the people that were on the plane, all they want to do is get back to civilization, and they don't realize where they are. And I don't know. It's just it seems to be your thread today that these movies keep popping into my head. I couldn't resist calling in.
I think they actually realize where they are. And what was running their head didn't want to be there. Let me get out of here immediately.
Well, maybe that was it, yeah.
Self wouldn't want to be in heaven. It would make it hell fast.
That's right.
It only wants a heaven compared to a hell. It doesn't want heaven, period.
Yeah.
Watch it. Yeah. People want to be free. They don't want to be free. The head doesn't want to be free, really. It wants to be free because it's maybe in vogue now or fashion. But it doesn't, when put on a dime, it doesn't want to be free because it inherently is.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
It's good to tell the truth, really. One of the first things that happened with me is I admitted I didn't really want to be free. I just wanted to want to be free. And it was great. When I made that, let it be as real as it wanted to be, I realized it wasn't real. It's okay not to want to be free. No big deal. I mean, I was once with a guru, and he was supposed to be the Lord of the universe, yeah? And I didn't like the guru. So what does that make me? I don't like the Lord of the universe. That doesn't make me such a good person, I would imagine. I mean, who wouldn't like the Lord of the universe? But I was experiencing not liking the Lord of the universe. That identification as the one who didn't like the Lord of the universe was very painful to the one that didn't like the Lord of the universe, because I couldn't leave it, because I said, he's the Lord of the universe. If I leave the Lord of the universe, what does that make me? I deserve to be in hell. Yeah? Insanity. Yeah? It's all insane. It's total insane. It's free. It's really freeing not to want to be free. What happened is you lose the need to be liberated. That's really what happens. All the need to be liberated goes bye-bye. There's no need to get out of what's not happening at all. Not one bit. All there is a recognition it's not happening. You don't have to get out of it.
Right.
Why? Because it's not happening. You only have to get out of something that's actually happening. Don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I think that's what happens to so many of us in the corporate world is, you're living in the corporate world. You're living in what's not happening 99% of your day. And I think it makes everybody crazy. It makes everybody I know are living somewhere else. And that's where everything starts to go downhill.
Yeah, I once was at a meeting, and they were talking about all these events at office parties. So I had to raise my hand and say, I can't really share because I've never been in an office. So I've never been in an office party.
Yeah.
The corporate world seems like, a cartoon for me. I have no idea what it's like. But I know I probably wouldn't do well in it. Literally.
No.
I don't have much ambition, really.
Well, there you go. That's just it.
Seriously. That's why any business I've ever had, I've never tried to have a partner, because they would find a disappointment in me because I don't have really much ambition. To me, working was just a way to, whatever, live.
Well, that's just it, is you end up forcing yourself to into that groove, and so you start living someone else's life just in order to fit in.
Well, something lives your life, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then eventually you start believing it.
Well, there's a lot of energetic movements, to me. It's almost as if, in a way, this is just an interface or a point of expression, and you can be taken over every day by energies, yeah? For me,
right.
A long period of my life looked like it was taken over by an energy that we call alcoholism, an addiction. Mm. Then something happened, and there was a break in that, and then something, let's say, a lot more benign took over. But there has never been a resident of the hotel. There's not a live-in manager. There's no one home, but things move through. Yeah, life expresses through, but there is no manager of the apartment house. Yeah, there's no owner. I'm not one who's having guests. There's just expressions happening. Life is verbing. There's no noun to be watching it or having it or be supervising it. There's just verbing going on. Yeah, there's not a being. There's just being. There's not a being. There's being. It's a verb. We think this is a noun because we see it as a solid thing, but its activity is totally verbing, yeah? Thousands of things are going on, thousands of cells, thousands of all this and all that, and it's unbelievable that our perceptions are so thick in a way that we see this incredible expression of verbing as a noun, as a solid, separate entity.
Well, I think, just to extend the analogy of the corporate workplace is you're constantly trying to make it a real environment, and there really is no reality there, and consequently, like I was saying before, you end up making yourself crazy trying to make it a valid environment to live in.
Well, the head makes itself crazy. It's not you, but
right.
Your attention is absorbed in that, so
I do it.
It seems to be you. Yeah. Well, you can always become a house painter with me. You won't have to wear a suit and tie.
I'll tell you what, I would give anything to go back into something physical, believe me, instead of living in my head all day long.
Mud wrestling. I'm going on a mud wrestling tour after this. A non-duality mud wrestling. There'll be no one. I'll be wrestling with no one. But it'll be very muddy, I'm sure.
Actually, the best job I ever had was pouring concrete basements.
I'm in one now.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Hey, we're going to go soon, I think. I've had it. Yes. Is that okay?
Okay.
Hey, Doug, thank you very much.
Thank you
for being my sole cult member in the whole Midwest.
Hey, listen, I'm going to be back tomorrow, so
great.
I'll check in that too.
Thank you. Seriously, I've got one cult member. You're going to get a free T-shirt. I've got some with me. None of these people are going to get any of them, but you are going to get one. Yeah.
Hey, I'll wear it too. I'll wear it to work.
Oh, very good. I am. I'm going to make a Zen Bitch Slap shirt soon. I got another one already out, but we're going to make a Zen Bitch Slap shirt. So you get in touch with me, and I'm going to send you one. Of course, it's going to cost you a little money, but you're in the corporate world. You can afford it. I'll send you one.
Right.
You can wear it there.
That's all right. I can handle it.
That's good. It is. It'll be on the website. We're going to have another part of a website called Empty Heads T-shirts. Because my name is Hedderman.
When are you going to start a blog on your website?
No way. Oh, me? I wouldn't engage in it, but I could start one if everyone else talks. But there's only you. You're the only cult member. You'd be the only one with a blog entry. There'd be I don't even think it would be called blogging. Isn't it blogging when it's an interaction with others? You would just be blog.
Yeah, it would be blog.
But I'm not going to get involved. No way. I don't. That's why I don't want to really get involved like in chat rooms or anything engaged. I need, Enough's enough. Yes. I'm just like a mailman. I don't want you to invite me over to dinner. Really, just inviting you, and I'm off on my next little delivery.
Oh, see, and there you go. I was going to invite you to Cleveland.
Oh, well, get me set up for Cleveland and make sure. Make sure there's more than one person there when I get there. I've got to live.
All right.
I'm going to have to bring my old cult members when I come to Chicago. I'll bring my people from San Francisco. So it'll look like we have someone here.
That sounds good.
They take me for granted in San Francisco anyway. They don't know how good they have it 3 times a week. Jesus Christ. All right, we're joking also. Remember, obviously, don't take this seriously. You're not getting a free shirt, so don't worry. Any questions here? Anything? No? I'm happy you're back. That's nice. Yeah.
I had a question because I'm kind of listening to you talk. I'm kind of realizing the first few years on this, I strove and tried. And then I kind of got into this turnaround and this thing like, life is enlightenment. Well, enlightenment will happen to me, which is kind of
yes.
And then now I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like going, wow, well, that was a big waste of time. But then it's what I'm really thinking now is what it really comes down to is the invitation, is what. And when you say, can you entertain this concept or can you entertain this as a way of being? And yes, definitely. And it really is just then you just have to say yes.
Yes.
And
it's
then
an entertaining.
And entertaining of the, because last night I was kind of trying to think about it again and it was sort of like, wow.
Thinking isn't entertaining.
Exactly.
Thinking is not
Exactly.
entertaining. Thinking is applying the seeming problem to it.
And neither is experiencing, really.
No,
It's
not
just,
experiencing it. Entertaining is the closest word I can get
yeah,
to a
it's
sense
really
I'm
good.
trying to, communicate. It's sort of like, entertaining, not daydreaming, but entertaining. You're entertaining as a space, and you'll see what comes in.
Yeah, well, it kind of cuts through that,
Yeah.
like I'm striving or I'm, waiting to get hit by, some kind of cosmic meatball or something. So,
Yeah. Yeah, well, the one thing that happens with people who invite people, it's not an intended mistake, but they talk about an event that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just, the selfing loves that.
Yeah.
As soon as it hears that there was an event, and it can sort of exit itself out because it didn't have that event.
Right.
So it verifies that they're not awake because they didn't have an awakening event.
Right.
Yeah, it's not intended, but the mind does that. I see it a lot with people. So
yeah.
It's because then you think it's got to happen. And see, the fact is, if it's always happening, it's hard to recognize. See, a happening you can recognize because it's separated in time. But always happening is unnoticed. Yeah, because you can't experience what's always happening. Yeah. If you experience what's always happening, that would be being it, because that experience would always be happening. And therefore it's not an experience. It's being. That's what it is. So we want to have an experience of something that's always happening, but to have an experience of something that's always happening is being it, because it's always happening. There's no break between where I wasn't experiencing it, now I'm experiencing it, but if I do something that I could lose it and I won't experience it anymore, that's not it. It's always happening. So to experience something that's always happening would be being it, because you'd be experiencing it all the time. That would be being it. Yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if your head thinks you're being it or not. Yeah, this is not the authority anymore. What was revealed is what was revealed. What's obvious is now obvious, and that's that. It's not something you do, it's a recognition. Let it sink in. You have the ability to entertain that, because if you can entertain what's not happening and make it seem real, you know how much easier it is to entertain what is happening? Incredibly much easier. I mean, we're miracle workers, everyone in this room. We're making what's not happening appear to be happening. I mean, it's like raising the dead every day. You're constantly raising the past and the future every freaking day. You think Jesus raised Lazarus, that was a miracle. You're raising what's not happening every freaking day. At least Lazarus seemed to have been happening. And then he was raised when he stopped happening. But this has never happened. It's what's not happening, and we're raising it every freaking day. We're miracle workers. We have tons of faith. Everyone here, which isn't many people, by the way, everyone here has tons of faith. Tons of faith. This idea of having to get faith is, in my humble view, is totally off. You and I have tons of faith. But what happens here, faith manifests here, its effects in what vehicle it's put in. So faith, this possibility of faith, manifests in this place by the vehicle it's put in. So if you have faith in your thoughts, that's gonna translate here into anxiety. You're gonna take what's not happening to be so real it will make you anxious now as a body. That is faith. To have what has no power to affect to make up an effect. It's pretty incredible, isn't it? Your faith can make something that has no power to affect become an effect on you. You're believing in the thoughts about what's not happening make the reaction of the body to what's not happening real. Same faith if put into, let's say, not thoughts. See, I don't think you need to put in faith into anything. You have to sort of tell the truth about where it is now. And when you tell the truth about where it is now, a door opens up and the faith can leave and it can go somewhere else. Now, for me, I don't know what I have faith in, but I know what I don't have faith in. And I do not have faith in thoughts. It's totally a bogus system. It's very crude. It's truly obsolete. It's no form of communication. It is slow time. There's a lot of weaknesses in it. It's a bogus, and it's definitely not a system to rely on to navigate here. No freaking way. Yeah. I don't know what I believe in, but I know I don't believe in that. And so my faith has been disengaged with that. And wherever it is, it produces an ease and comfort in my skin now. The faith in mind produces an anxiety that's not here now. And the faith in whatever the faith that that's not me produces an ease and comfort here now as this. It's the same faith. There's no difference in the energy. It's the same faith. The energy, the attention that's driving you crazy is the attention that's your freedom. It's the same here. If your attention is on all those thoughts, the attention that illuminates those thoughts is what's driving you crazy. You wouldn't notice the thoughts unless you were conscious. But that consciousness is driving you crazy because you cannot become conscious of those fucking thoughts. They're driving you crazy. I wish I could put them out. Yeah, you're slaying in bed and you're representing the day over and over again. What should I have done? What could have happened? I should never have left him. It's that awareness that's driving you crazy. But the awareness freed from that is what is the act of traveling lighter. It's funny, eh? Duality is very strange. The thing that binds you is what frees you here. And vice versa. The absence appearing to be present is binding you. And the presence, that is the absence of this, is freeing you. There's no you to be freed, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Freedom's a verb. It's not something you and I have. It's activated. You're either traveling free or not. And I say it's an impossibility not to be traveling free. So there you go. But I want to have some relevance in that. Well, you don't. But I don't feel it. Who's telling you that? I don't sense it the way I think I would sense it if I was sensing it. Who's telling you that? Is the freedom telling you that you're not sensing the freedom? Or is it the head telling you? Why would you want that to be the arbiter of your experience or your reality of truth? The thing that is its absence. Why would I want the absence to tell me how I'm doing in the presence? I don't know how I'm doing. That's the beauty of it. I have no clue what's going on at all. Just gone. Bye-bye. I have no idea. I don't even know how I ended up in Chicago. Seriously.